To each their own, man. There's one for everybody.
Yeah.
You want to watch somebody bang your woman, you know?
Then
you go right ahead.
You go for it. Here, do you think it's worth getting married nowadays?
Not really. Not anymore. I think it was at one time, but men just do not have the status in the household that they did before. You know, when I was growing up, I was raised by my grandparents, but my grandfather, so that's a generation, back even, but my grandfather always got the biggest pork chop, and he got fed first, and he got taken care of first because he
got treated like a king.
Because he was
a high-value king.
Right, because he was... Exactly. No, that's exactly it, though. He probably felt that way, too, because he was taken care of, You could literally set your watch by my grandfather's meals. To this day, I can literally go over my grandparents' house, and at 12:45, I know there's going to be a plate on that table, whether that man's in that house or not. It doesn't matter if he's even there. It will be there waiting for him. I guarantee it. And that doesn't happen anymore. Some women don't even want to cook. Like I literally, I hate to say this because it's kind of wrong, but I literally sought out an Asian woman because they're one of the few women that are being taught by their families to take care of their men.
Yeah.
I know there's
they
other
raise them
religions and races that are doing that too, but that's one of the obvious ones. It's like, for my wife, I don't have to beg her to do those things. Her parents have already ingrained that in her.
One. All right. For once, I'm not the only taken man on this podcast anymore, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here with my two single friends, Phil and Tad, and the other married man who's holding it down on the other side of the table, Reggie. Thanks for joining us today. Look at that ring. Damn.
If you see me on the billboards, this is the only thing you can recognize.
Yeah.
They don't even show my faces.
Did you pick that out?
No. Actually, I did, I picked like the first thing that came to mind, though. I was like, oh, that one's, I'll just take that one.
Yeah.
I didn't spend any money.
Married men are becoming more and more redefined these days. And I think a lot of that has to do with this new term that's called being a cuck. That's destroying a lot of relationships and marriages. And I think a lot of people feel like it's a good decision at first. And then while they're actually in the moment or the lingering effects of it end up deteriorating not only them as a person, but at the relationship as well. So in case you didn't know, being a cuck is when you like watching your partner get fucked by another man or woman, whatever it is that you're into. Now, I definitely feel like you could get away with being more accepting of that and have it not affect your relationship if you're very early on into your romance with your partner.
Sure.
But because then it's fun.
It's way easier.
It's way easier to get out of it, for sure. Like,
sure. And over it, too.
Yeah. But the longer you go, like, okay, being a married man, do you think you could ever watch your wife get fucked by another dude? I'll just say there's no amount of money for me that I could get paid that could allow me to watch that, because it would just destroy her image of her forever.
I don't. It's funny that you say image.
Get a little closer to the mic.
It's funny that you say image, like the way you see the person you married is going to change based on, like, it'd be different if I was running from the police, I came home and she's like, he's right there, get his ass, take his ass to jail, and I'm in jail for the rest of my life. Obviously, that's going to change my image of the woman, but if someone comes over and says, I got $3 million in this briefcase, it's yours if I get to bang your wife one time, but you have to watch. Do you want VHS or DVD, or would you
want
like
me to live
copies?
stream it?
No internet, though. I don't want everybody knowing that I'm a millionaire now because of my wife.
Yeah.
I'd like to tell them that I made this money. But seriously, like, what are you losing and what are you gaining? No one will ever... Well, look at this. People work their whole lives and will never see that kind of money. People are never going to go on $10,000 yachts for a week and then freaking tip another 10 grand as they leave.
Right.
Like so many popular TV shows. Like, people never know what it's like to spend money like that. That shit's once in a lifetime. And my wife getting banged, she's gotten banged before I was with her. I'm pretty sure. And I didn't have to watch it, but I'm pretty sure I can block it out for a couple minutes.
For sure. Well, being married should be a once-in-a-lifetime event, at least. It should be a once-in-a-lifetime event, and meeting someone who you're willing to spend the rest of your life with together and wipe their ass when you're 80 years old should also be a once-in-a-lifetime event. But it's a little different, like, okay, you comparing to like, oh, well, she had sex with people before I knew her. is way different than watching your wife get married from someone, Bo. You can't even compare those two. I'm sorry.
Hold on. Let me ask a question. So how long you been married?
Oh,
that was a great
8-9
song.
years.
See, how I feel now, like if I was married and someone offered me that, I couldn't do it. But then now I'm trying to look at it from a different point of view. Like maybe we have been together for a long time, and it's like, the newlywed phase is gone. It's like barely banging, maybe, or I don't know, or maybe just you need some excitement. Sometimes people want excitement. Like women will do things to get excitement.
They need something
Guys,
different.
Bringing something new to the table.
Yeah, so maybe that's why some of these guys do it.
I just don't understand how anyone could enjoy it or seek it out. Like,
Yeah.
I'm never going to pay anyone to bang my wife.
Yeah.
Now, if I could get paid and get paid a ton of money, it's got to be obscene, though. It's got to be money that would just change your life right away.
Right.
Like 20 G's.
Well,
you
it has
can't
to,
bang my
'cause it's
wife
gonna-
for 20 G's.
Well, because it's going to change the way you look at your wife forever, too.
I mean, maybe for you.
No,
no,
wait,
it
hold on.
wouldn't.
You're basically saying it would change because you're saying it has to be an obscene amount of money. So if
It
someone
would
came
change
in with,
your life for the better as far as financial situations,
Yeah.
but the dynamic between my wife and how I felt about her would not change at all.
so you wouldn't do it for like, hey man, I'm gonna buy you a brand new car that's like $80,000.
Your dream car.
Come on, man.
Dream car.
Let's be
about
real
it-
here. Come on now.
The thing about it is that there could be unseen complications as far as like the woman's side. She could get emotional and be like, hey, you let that guy do that to me. Hey, you didn't
Yeah.
even care. You never know what she's going to do. I know exactly how I'm going to feel about it, but I don't know what I'm going to have to deal with from her. So for $1 million, even if we split it, I'm still going to live my best life no matter what. Even if the worst comes the worst and I get my children taken and I have to
What?
pay alimony and I can't do nothing, like still I would have $500,000 and I'd still be able to raise my children just as much as I'm raising them now with her. Because it's still, what, the difference is I have to go over to her house versus waking up there? How many people are divorced these days? Are they not making it work? Are children not being raised?
Over
It
50%,
sucks.
I'm pretty
It
sure.
sucks.
Are
Don't
they
get
not
me
being
wrong.
raised? They're not being raised.
I was raised
I
by a
don't-
single mother, and it sucks.
Yeah, I don't.
But it does happen. Life goes on.
It
man.
does, but I think that could
That's
be a
why
whole
I'm
nother
saying it would
topic,
have to
you
be
know.
an unseen amount of money to like have those possible outcomes happen.
Okay.
Mhm.
Like
That
who
makes
wants to
sense.
lose their children? Like that's priceless to some people.
Right.
For me, for sure, but that's not a definite. Like if someone said, "Hey, if I bang your wife, I'll give you $2 million, but you're gonna lose your kids." Like fuck that.
Right.
Like if someone told me that they were gonna take my wife, I might think about it. But my kids are like, I put my kids above my wife in 20 seconds, dude. If the boat were sinking, I had to save somebody. I'm grabbing my baby Astrid in 20 seconds, and,
Yeah,
and I'm saying deuces. I know you guys can handle it
for sure. No, I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
your wife would probably say
That's
the
my
same
baby.
way.
I
Yeah,
can't-
I'm sure your
I
wife
have
would
to
say
take
the same
her.
thing.
Yeah.
I think most parents would.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we've lived our life, your life
For
is supposed to
real.
be sacrificing it
For
your own
real.
life for your kid.
Yeah.
So if you're not willing to put yourself above your kid, or even like your kids above your partner, you probably shouldn't even be a parent.
Your
in the
kids
first
should
place.
come first for sure. Like it's okay to like not want to do the day to day because it's a pain in the ass to like take them to 50 million parks and splash
Yeah.
pads.
Puts
and
his
all
mic
that.
down a little bit like that. Closer
But,
to up there you go.
If you're talking about just the basic, supporting your kids, being there for your kids, making them sacrifices, shit, shouldn't have had them, man.
Phil, you got something cooking in there. I've been seeing you on the camera.
Well,
What's your opinion on this whole thing? We'll go back to the beginning. As a single man,
I mean-
point of view, looking at it.
having that, coming at you like a garbage truck with no brakes.
Ooh, I like that.
The immediate response for me is that it's just simply wrong, and
And it is as simple as that, too.
to whatever degree it's argued as acceptable is the degree to which you move away from marriage as not just being between you and your spouse, but being a covenant that has its own substance because it's in line with a higher authority. And not only that, but you're also as you veer away from that conceptualizing of it, you get closer and closer to pure materialism, where everybody's just a flesh bag walking around getting their jollies off.
Yep.
And
I think that's what it is
like that.
nowadays. I'm
but
pretty sure.
and it's the most, it might be the single most civilization rupturing, crumbling approach to a part of life that can exist.
You know what I was thinking about the other day, and I want you guys to answer this truthfully too. I think if I could go back and start all over, I would wait to have sex till I was married.
Ah,
I honestly think I would,
for what?
Yeah.
dude.
For what?
Because when you think about like chase and that rush when you first lose your virginity,
That shit wasn't even that great.
and how kind of like attached you get to that person, like not like everyone,
I see
yes,
what
like
you're saying.
it's not always like losing your virginity at first, but maybe like when you have like that first like good sex, you know, when you're like, holy shit, like this is what I finally experienced, and like how that affects like the way you treat that person, and like how like those true like sparks are finally there, like those flames get duller over time the more partners that you have.
Well,
Like,
absolutely.
You know,
Oh,
like,
and
those flames don't burn as bright.
And for women, it's a biological certainty because that first engagement, that's the highest level that those hormones are ever going to be at. Each time you move from one partner to another, it's a graph of diminishing returns. So when you end up with a woman that's in her early 30s, who knows how many different people she's been with, and then with somebody else, and the whole series, the idea that they're ever going to be able to make the same bond that they were capable of at the beginning it's utter nonsense.
I agree.
And
it's
now,
the same for guys too, though. But I do
But it
I do
doesn't
think
affect
women
guys
get
as
hit a little
much.
affected.
Yeah.
But it does hit the same with us.
the physical reality of it is not the same, but the psychological, it definitely is. I mean, you get to a point where you treat people in a particular pattern, and it becomes something that's really difficult to break.
Yeah.
I was thinking about how this the contemporary framework that young women are operating in, and that the godless of the ranks who are pushing this kind of behavior from the male side. It's the complete inversion of how you approach every other part of your life. You see these stories about the coming up stories of all of these athletes, right? And the ones that go through the controversial circumstances, blah blah blah. But when they first start, it doesn't matter what you're doing. When you first start, it's never a home run, right? So this idea that you go around and you randomly engage in sexual encounters looking for that slot on the roulette wheel, it's absolutely freaking backwards.
Yeah.
Because the first interaction with somebody, it doesn't matter what the context is, it's never as good as it could be if
compared to
the two people are committed to building it up.
Yeah.
And you have to do that personally with everything that you engage with if you actually want to get to that pinnacle level.
So basically what Phil's saying, it's better to get really good at sex with one person by having sex with them 50 times instead of having sex with 50 different people one time, trying to hit the home run.
I think that's to each their own on
but
that
like
one.
I want to hear what Reggie's got to say, because I want to hear just real quick, Phil. Yeah. If you could go back, wait to marriage to have sex, would you?
Oh,
if
absolutely. Because my track record is pretty sparse, and I regret the encounters that I've had.
For sure.
I mean, I would. I'd rather be the 46-year-old virgin than where I'm at now.
Reggie, I want to hear what your answer to that question. Anything else you got cooking in your head?
I definitely couldn't handle being the 46-year-old virgin. Definitely.
Maybe not be the 46-year-old virgin, but like, just say like your wife now. Like, just say you have the exact same life you do now. Only difference is you each waited to have sex until you were married.
I don't know how that could have made anything better. I know for sure our wedding night would have been way more awkward because neither one of us, it's like trying to put together a fucking toaster and neither one of us have a screwdriver. Yeah. Like, what the heck we're doing? Do you know what yours was? Where does it even go? Yeah. Did you watch anything so we could, like, just think if there was no internet and, like, you couldn't even see sex unless you had done it before. Like, would you even know what to do?
Yeah.
Like, wait, do I pee in her? Or
No, I feel like we're just
how does
it's
this
hard.
work?
It's just hardcoded in us. We know what to fucking do.
God, I hope
how
so.
How else did cavemen fuck?
That's
we
an
just-
interesting story. I would
we
like
just-
to see the first man that ever had
We
sex.
just knew what to do.
I think
God's first porno.
I think most of the people, who are still in that period of their life where they're, looking to be sexually active, they weren't they didn't get introduced to the topic in a very constructive way. I don't for me it was positive for me. I mean, I had about the best pair of parents you could ever imagine. And when you get to a particular age, I don't know, I think that my mom having raised as Catholic gave
Cool.
it gave her the best framework to approach that problem. And when you get a bunch of accompanying points about what the actual institution is and what its purpose is, as opposed to just the mechanics of the biology and being told no, it makes a big difference. And I think that's mostly what kids have been getting over the past, 40, 50 years. Here's the biological mechanics, and don't do that. And then you've got the entire external world saying, do it. And it's an absolute mind screw.
Especially when you got social media that just basically shoves softcore porn in your face all fucking day now.
Well, there's never anything coming across to reinforce the positive aspects of exercising self-control and experiencing that with somebody that you've committed to, as opposed to going through the roulette strategy.
To me, that is the most disciplined person. If you can wait to marriage till you have sex in today's world, you are a fucking Jedi Master. But real quick, I want to ask same question to you. Okay. If you could start over, would you wait to marriage? And then any other thoughts?
I don't think I'd wait till marriage unless I was I found that person. Mm-hmm. But I'm not married yet, so
it's hard to say.
That'd be hard to say. And I will say this too is I liked the chase. I liked the conquering of having sex. I'm gonna be honest. I liked the chase, the chase to get the girl and to make it happen. It's an achievement. I actually liked that probably more than sex.
Really? Okay.
I just thought it was fun, trying to hey, can I get this girl to do this? But I do know what it's like when you're really passionate with someone, and that's where I can see where you're sitting there saying you think you'd like to wait, because when you have sex when there's more than just more emotional, and that's just a whole nother feeling.
I just don't get how waiting can intensify that at all, except for you busting your nut in the first 20 seconds and because you touched her arm.
I think he's
that whole American Pie style. I get it that, I built emotions with you for 30 years, we're married, and this is really, really good.
I think your desirability for other people would go down significantly. And what I mean by that, because once you had start to sleep, listen to me while I'm going with this, because I feel like once you have multiple partners and then you get married or then you get a committed relationship, right? Other attractive people exist in the world. Everyone knows that. As a guy, I would be lying, especially bartending. If I didn't see an ass walk by, I'd be like, God damn, look at that fucking thing, And I'm sure she's probably seen attractive marriage and be like, fuck, you know what I mean? But do we act on it? No, because we love each other and we're committed to it. But I think
me and my wife had an open marriage for a certain time.
So
we did act on it.
I couldn't do that. So my thing is, I think you noticing those type of things and having kind of that little devil on your shoulder, whispering here look at that. I think his voice would get a lot quieter if you waited to have sex, and you wouldn't notice all the
because you don't know what you're missing or something.
Exactly.
Well,
maybe that's part of it.
No, I agree with Doug, and because when you're really in love with someone, you'll see attractive people, but it's you love that person so much, it's
right. But most people are not getting that starry sky Romeo and Juliet love factor. You might get that, because most people get it once and then it fucks up, and then they literally go never again. I'll never put my heart on the line again like that.
I
And then
agree
it's
with that one.
over.
Yeah.
No matter who you're with, you'll never love them that much. That first one, you were like 100%. Now it's only 80, 75, 60. You'll never give 100 again. Why? Because it didn't go right one time. So
Because
it's
people
just
learn
so,
from their mistakes.
so love is like it can be your greatest joy or your greatest pain. You just got to take what you can get and kind of make it work. Because
Yeah.
most people are not fucking in love with the person they're with. A lot of people just knocked them up or good enough. A lot of people these days, which is blowing my mind. I just met a couple of them that are getting married because they decided to after a certain amount of time because they couldn't find anyone else. Like they just said, hey, man, if we can't find anybody by 2024, should we get married? And then they do.
They made a deal.
That's insane.
That is.
Can you I can't even imagine that. Like I would
can't
rather
know- if you're like, okay, say if you're like fuck buddies and you're having this,
but that's some
you have
connection
this
though.
weird relationship. Yeah. Oh, so you're talking about people who
Like
are
never touched
strictly
each other.
friends.
Literally strictly friends. Never touched each other once.
Really?
Ever. Yeah.
To
Dude,
me,
one
that
of my
sounds
friends
like,
is married to a
hold on.
guy.
To me,
Literally married to the guy.
you know what that sounds like to me?
And has a kid with him.
That sounds
It's
like
insane.
that sounds like a Simps contract to get out of the friend zone finally. I mean, those dudes are
Dude,
so,
I wish that was it.
No, dude, I
for the
think
guy it probably
the
is, but
guys
for her,
that are so deep in
Man.
the fucking friend zone.
sure.
And the only way to know they can get out, hey, if you're not married by 40, like, I'll marry you. I'll marry you.
And
And
it
Mark,
works.
she's going out to fucking the bars every night, just getting pumped and dumped by
Oh,
every
yeah.
single dude on there.
He's
40
at home
will come
watching
by
Star
real
Trek,
quick.
hoping for the best.
Getting
God,
chowed and
2 more
plowed.
years. 2 more years. Come
Yo,
on.
let's
Don't
go.
marry her.
You know what? That I believe that happens a lot. Now,
Oh,
now that
that's
you said it
scary.
like that, that's why I think most of the guys that are like that, you know, they're in their little orbit, the orbit of the woman's orbit, and that finally she opens up, you know, even just a little bit, like, oh man, he was here for me all the time. You know,
Yep.
he's safe,
That's
he's secure.
That's why you
Man,
can't
all
let
them-
your woman have any male friends. That
Yeah,
exact reason
you
right
know?
there.
Yep.
Or they get mad at the guy that they were dating, or they're like, well, I'm just gonna give him a chance. You know, he's always there. You know, I've talked to him about my feelings, and then
All part of the
in the
game,
back
girl.
of his mind, he's like, yeah,
Yeah.
about time.
I knew I was going to get there.
Because that's how a lot of guys think.
Yeah,
This
for
is
sure.
what it is.
For sure.
You know,
Professor, why don't you go ahead and mic
Oh,
drop him quick?
I just think that a lot of the conversation that like along this line that takes place, it's there really isn't. There isn't any consideration of love as something real. It's just a word,
Sure.
and I don't know. Like these hypotheticals, it's just
Love is just a word, and
it's
loyalty
just completely
just a
foreign to
tattoo.
me. I don't really even.
So true.
I don't really know how to address these things other than to try to address the general misconceptions or just lack of input from people that should have been there to provide it that people are suffering from. These are all avoidable. These are all avoidable deficits that communities as a whole could avoid, but have chosen not to because it's easier. And it's sad.
I know for me, like, the word, if I tell someone I love them, like I love them, like
Yeah.
I don't say that word that easy, but just because, and it's probably because how I was raised.
I want to
you
ask
know?
her something. Has a girl said, has someone ever told you, I love you first, and you didn't feel that strongly towards them at the time, and you didn't say I love you back? Or did you feel like you had to say I love you also because they said it?
I felt like I had to say it, but
Yep.
but I didn't say it. I actually
Okay.
changed the subject. I was like, "Oh, that's sweet."
Sad.
Anyway, so what
Sad.
what'd you do today? You know, like
That's
y-
nice. So, what's going on Tuesday?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
yeah.
The classic
Well,
thank you.
But you know what,
know
though? Like, that's real. Like,
That's
I actually,
awesome.
yeah.
Ugh.
One of my really good friends, actually, he told me the story how he was the first one to say I love you to his girlfriend. And then right after that, he was like, but wait, he's like, he told her, he's like, you don't have to say it back. He's like, I just want you to know that. Like, I love you. You're really
It
fucking
seems like
cool.
a cop out,
No,
so he doesn't
says
have to
any-
hear her
no, said
answer.
it- I think that's the best way to go.
Ah.
I don't think it's cop out at all. I think if you truly love a person, that actually should be the way you
No,
truly
you
love
say
her,
I
won't
love
you
you
value
first,
her
it's just,
opinion?
because you don't want to put that type of
No,
pressure on
you don't
people.
want to issue it like it's an ultimatum.
Yes.
You want to deliver it as a new degree of awareness about where you're at,
Yep.
and to just drop it and then sit there and expect it
And
in
wait it.
response.
And
That's
get
it's
upset.
juvenile and irresponsible.
I
Get
can tell
upset
me
if
and
you don't say I
think
love
the
you
same.
back.
No, when
I
people
do.
say I love you, it's more of a declaration, which I don't say it has to have a response, but it definitely should be able to have a response. If someone says I love you, and I don't care about what you think right now, just don't say anything. I just want you to know, and then try to run out of the room. It's like, what the fuck? You don't wait. What?
Yeah.
If you love me, can I say something? Or you?
I won't say that word first. I can still show them I love them. I don't have to say it. Like
You just refuse
But-
to say it first.
I don't even say it that much as it is. So like I'm not gonna just maybe I'm
You
just
scared of it?
I am scared
scared
because
to
I
love?
It
didn't.
is a big word.
I was raised different, so I didn't hear that word that much when I was a child. So like when I say that word, I really like it means a lot to me. Like love and hate, those are like powerful words, like very
Yeah.
powerful.
Sure.
So if I'm gonna say it, like I mean it. And so many people these days abuse those words. Like to me that should be like a coveted word. Like if you're gonna say it, it should be coveted. So I won't say it that easy. I have to like truly feel it. But that's
hear
just
that.
me, Like,
No, I hear that.
I would go another step and say that the feeling is a motivation, but love is done. It's not felt.
Done.
Love is something you do.
Like your actions.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And
That's true.
funny enough, I actually I've deduced my own like objective definition of it. You've heard it before. Probably
I can't remember it, but
it's
I'm sure I've heard of
probably
it.
in a clip somewhere.
Well, you can you can tell pretty much if someone loves you. Like
Yeah.
Phil's saying, it's by their actions, the little things they do. Someone, I mean, there's girls and guys. They'll probably like they say, "Oh, I love you." Do their actions show it?
Yeah.
I agree with Phil on that.
The littlest things can tell someone that you love them. I feel like for you, like being a married man, like if you came home and the dish is already done, house is all clean, everything's looks fucking spotless, great dinner's cooked, that's the way of your wife telling you that she loves you when you get back from there.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess so. I don't know, man. It's
What
I
as being
mar-
a married man, like what do you think like I love
my
you is?
style
And
of
do you
marriage
think
is
it,
different from average, and I think today that a lot of people have different kind of marriages. Like when he was talking, I wanted to say that too. Like marriage, I'd say back in the day was pretty cut and dry. A man's the head of the household, women's taking care of handling the kids and washing the clothes and cooking
Yeah,
the meals and stuff
doing
like
laundry,
that. But I
yeah.
mean, these days there's so many different dynamics. I mean, especially with the LGBTQ community where they're just like, everything goes, and there's all different kinds of people that like everything. There's still all kinds of like, men are making more money sometimes women are making the money. Sometimes women are running the show, sometimes men are running the show. Sometimes it's equal. And I think that sex is basically kind of like, just like kissing is basically nowadays.
Been relegated.
It's lower. It's not as important as it is.
Yep.
Now it's like it's hooking up. It's a culture. It's a thing that happens every time or a lot. And it's not as special as it was.
Well,
And I'm not saying that's good or bad.
wouldn't you want to wait till you get married then now if you could do it all over? Because that's what makes it special again. Waiting.
No.
Like
No.
And I'll take what you just said. Just like I did with Tad. It's another step further. What's happened is it's not like all of this is absolutely brand new, but its pervasiveness is the ability to turn sex into a weapon. Those types of engagements are now just hookup culture.
I don't think
And
women have been
it's,
using sex as a weapon for years. Are you kidding me?
The capacity has been there, but
Women use sex as a weapon,
the
men use
outright
emotions.
open exercise of it and the heaping on of praise, that's new. That's the new part. And there are no parties that have been interested in pushing these narratives from the beginning that have any of our interest in mind whatsoever.
It's crazy out there, relationships. To each their own, man. There's one for everybody.
Yeah.
You want to watch somebody bang your woman, you know?
Yeah,
you
that's
go right
all
ahead.
You go for it. Here, do you think it's worth getting married nowadays?
Not really. Not anymore. I think it was at one time, but men just do not have the status in the household that they did before. You know, when I was growing up, I was raised by my grandparents, but my grandfather, so that's a generation, back even, but my grandfather always got the biggest pork chop, and he got fed first, and he got taken care of first because he
got treated like a king.
Because he was
a high-value king.
Right, because he was... Exactly. No, that's exactly it, though. He probably felt that way, too, because he was taken care of, You could literally set your watch by my grandfather's meals. To this day, I can literally go over my grandparents' house, and at 12:45, I know there's going to be a plate on that table, whether that man's in that house or not. It doesn't matter if he's even there. It will be there waiting for him. I guarantee it. And that doesn't happen anymore. Some women don't even want to cook. Like, I literally, I hate to say this because it's kind of wrong, but I literally sought out an Asian woman because they're one of the few women that are being taught by their families to take care of their men.
Yeah.
I know there's
they
other
raise them
religions and races that are doing that too, but that's one of the obvious ones. It's like, for my wife, I don't have to beg her to do those things. Her parents have already ingrained that in her. I literally turn around and it's done, and that's why I say, if you're going to get married, know who you're getting married to, because that's who you're stuck with. And you don't want to end up making her your enemy.
Yeah.
Because
know what
that's
you
what
value.
happens a lot.
If you value having dinner at the table at 6 p.m. and you value making more money than your girl, choose
get that type of girl.
Get that type of girl.
Because there's a girl out there for everybody. Are you kidding me?
A lot of those situations, those are born out of people just using love as a word and not ever reflecting on a definition that they can hold themselves and their spouse or their partner to. And I think a lot of it, just wrote this down in that last passage, the fear has been redirected from where it belongs to fear of authorities and meddlers and people who write write precedents in family courts. Men are now forced to approach the institution as if it's barricaded by a bunch of legalese and
With
lawyers
fear is
and
what they should
judges
say. Approach marriage with fear,
and a
that
bunch
could be your ass.
a bunch of dictates that basically determine that if anybody finds fault with anything that happens going forward, you are going to be 100% and more liable for everything in the aftermath. And it's a corrosive environment within which to ask men to behave as men.
Yeah.
It's
I don't like that.
It's awful.
Masculinity.
Dude.
What do you guys think happened? Like, between
that
your
equal rights thing.
your grandparents' generation, where women were basically trained to have the pork chop ready at 12:30 massive, treating the man a high value king, like, how did that get lost over time from generation to generation?
I'm telling you,
it's like
like it's feminism.
Females became more masculine and men became more feminine over each
seriously.
generation.
Well,
No, go ahead.
I do think it's feminism, but extreme feminism. I'm not against certain feminism. Like, I believe females should have equal rights.
Sure.
But I think they're kind of taking things too far for certain things.
No.
And I think it started happening. That's pretty much when it started happening.
What?
I had another thought, but
I think they're
went-
treating
Like,
equal rights like a buffet.
was there a historic event you feel like that happened when the momentum shifted?
I think it's just been a process, like an ongoing process. But I think one of the main things is it has to do with the courts. I think the courts are affecting society a lot, because the reason I say this is because, like, if a man now, like, a woman can, like, take your kids, take half your salary, if you get a divorce,
Even if she's the one that cheats.
yes, but this is a trickle down effect. So what it does is, like, a lot of times they take the kids, so now the kids are raised by more than likely a single mother.
Sure.
And this single mother, I don't have anything against you single mothers, but
You're
not a man. Like, you're not a father, especially for the male.
Yeah, it should be raised by
both. So I feel like a lot of times these single mothers, the father can't even see the kids, or they have like this such limited, contact with them, where they can't even like raise
They can't
the
be
kids.
that
Use them as a
strong
bargaining
male.
chip.
Yeah,
Yep. And
they
then,
can't be the strong male figure.
so these kids are getting raised, and I'm not saying all single mothers do this. Usually, there's like beef between the mother and the father, and they'll be complaining about the father or the male, because I was raised by a single mother, so I've seen some of this, so I have experience. So you start thinking these males are thinking bad of their dads. My dad don't see me, but not knowing that he can't see you because of this and that, things. And then that caused a division. And then
Did your mom keep you from your dad, or like
Yeah.
like you're talking about?
Yes. Like, well, she kind of like said things, and now, and I was like, well, so I'm believing,
He's
because
bad.
you love
He's
your mom.
horrible. He doesn't want to see you.
For sure.
You love
And
your
he's
mom.
over there talking about, please.
So, and I mean, not all situations are like this, but I think it has happened a lot. And then, so these males that are raised in these situations, they didn't have a strong father figure. They, around. And there's a lot of them. Like,
Yep.
there's a lot of them.
Me too.
And then they go to school. I don't think there's enough male teachers. So they're getting raised by females. You got females raising a lot of males, and then they go to the school, and usually there's not many males teachers. And I'm not talking bad about females.
No, you should.
I'm
Wow.
I'm just saying, like, there's not like a balance of positive male role models for a lot of these kids coming up these days. And the courts have made it so easy for like the woman to leave the man.
Sure.
You
It's
know,
incentivized.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he did something wrong. Well, I'm going to his kids get child support, blah blah blah.
I don't get why
You-
that's still possible, though.
Because
what
I
happened to
don't
equal
know.
rights?
That's the thing. Like, but I don't know if I know people are seeing it. They're just not talking about it. Well, I'm talking about it.
Well,
Like,
this is
you're
what's so ridiculous about it is that
And-
on the very front end of this entire narrative, you had exceptional situations where you had a female descendant who would be given no restrictions on how the lineal passing on of property and money and things like that. Well, laws existing that prevented female descendants from being, the receivers.
The receivers.
Once
Yeah.
those situations were overcome in the letter of the law, the whole damn thing should have ended. I'm saying even before women got the right to vote, because steps were being taken. Men were at work creating opportunities for the women who demonstrated the faculty and the knowledge to enter law, to enter science fields, to be shop owners if their father was somebody who owned a store and passed away, and a daughter was the one left, or even a wife. At the beginning, 90% of women out in the world wanted to keep the family unit isolated from political discussions. They wanted nothing to do with women being able to vote. But a bunch of busybody propagandists and academicians conspired to coordinate with the government and people in the media to convince women in general that was the thing to do in order to fix things that had already been
Is
fixed.
that what I'm hearing right
What?
now?
well,
Is that what you're saying?
What?
That women shouldn't be allowed to vote right now?
Democracy is an arbitrary arrangement. Nobody should be able to vote.
Come
well,
on, that's
well,
voting
you kind
is
of
re-
danced around it.
I'm
You
sorry.
danced around it a
Sorry,
little bit.
voting is retarded.
Well, one thing is, like you see what's going on in social media. You see what's going on regular media. They don't make we should be like kind of stressing that family should be together, and I feel like that's in the narrative at all.
No.
Like, they made it so easy for people to leave each other that it's like it shouldn't be that easy. If you get married, that's supposed to be death till you part. Now, I understand there's extreme situations, but it shouldn't be that easy. It shouldn't be a financial advantage for one person to leave the other. It just shouldn't be. Like,
And
that's
why is it so good for the woman to leave
Yeah.
and never good for the man to leave? That's what I don't get. If there's equal rights, see, women use equal rights like a buffet. They're like, oh, yeah, I'll take equal pay. Yeah, I'll take that. Oh, oh, equally when we break up that we share everything and split everything down the middle. Nah, put that back.
Because
Like-
it's an attempt at a general conceptualization of what people observe, and it never translates into anything useful in the particular. Because when you come up with this the way it should be, well, now that has to be implemented through all of the sticky, dirty fingers of the state and all of its accompanying cronies who got their little tendrils penetrating into everything, and one false turn of a policy can cause absolute disaster. But that's never taken account of at the beginning with this is the way it should be. Women's rights, equal pay, all this dumb shit. Not a single one of these people ever does their due diligence to actually investigate the causes or even the existence of these deficits they claim to be crusading against. And it's bound to be a disaster. And
It's
we're
tough
living
to
through
prove.
it.
Yeah, but it's tough to prove like who's responsible for ruining the marriage. You know, like when you think about it in an actual court of law, it's basically like it turns into a giant he said she said game. And then how do you turn and
if
then
you
how do you
treat it-
actually prove something?
If you
like,
treat it as a
Why does
temporary
it matter whose fault it is?
matter of legal convenience that somebody can throw away at the first sign of being dissatisfied with something, well, you didn't have a marriage in the first place.
Just split everything down.
The whole
Yeah.
thing was pretend. It was basically role playing.
Women
That's
should,
what a lot. Yeah.
Well,
They're
women
that's,
should
role-playing
not get extra
marriage.
because they get divorced, because you're implying that they're weaker and they need more. If
But-
women's
but you're
rights are
supposed to be
about
equal.
them
it's
being
funny
equal,
that is, yeah.
then you should not be wanting to take more because the court sees that you're weaker and you need more help.
It's easier for the man to make more money.
Right.
Go out. It's easier for the man to
Like,
bounce
why are all
back,
these
go
programs
back, get
for
another
women and
job.
mothers? What about single dads out there? There's not like Section 8 for singles
That's
dads.
the most
Like,
remarkable part.
what's up with that? Why
Yeah.
are
There-
women so taken care of and men aren't? It's because
Yeah.
we think you're weak and we need to help you. And
Right.
men aren't weak. We can go out and do whatever we want. We can take over the world. So you shouldn't need any help.
Yeah.
So if it's going to be equal, make it equal across the
That's
board
yeah.
or leave it alone.
I'll tell
I
you
never
something.
thought about the whole Section
I
8
didn't-
like
There-
for single moms and not
I-
for single dads. And like
Their
you
own-
probably have a lot to speak to this because have you been a single dad the whole time or
No,
majority?
I just wanted to voice
Yeah.
my opinion real quick. So I was paying child support for my daughter. My baby mama, whatever. She's just she's a
baby
mess up.
mama. Yeah,
She's a
baby
mess
mama.
up.
Okay.
And so I end up getting custody of my daughter. Now, when I was with her, we didn't have court ordered child support at first, but I made sure I paid some money every month. But I wrote checks, I documented it just in case when she did take me to court, which she did because her friends are like, take him to court.
Their friends are like, you're about to get money on this
Yeah.
guy.
And-
That's what they said.
And what happened is, luckily, this is one thing I will respect about her is like she could have went back for back child support, even though I had records that I paid. Luckily, she didn't do that. But so I started paying, which is fine, that's how it is. But then when I got my daughter, because my mom, she like, I don't want to put out her business, but she did a lot of bad things.
Things happened, yes.
Yeah.
When I got my daughter,
You didn't get any child
nope,
support.
I didn't get no child support.
You didn't get
not-
nothing from her.
Nope, not at all. And not only that, the courts even said, hey, if you do like this, this, and this, you can get your daughter back. So she messes up multiple times. I have a clean record for what I'm doing. I'm like doing everything right. But she has an option to
Yeah.
get her back
What
if
is
she
up
like
with
cleans
them?
up her.
Thinking that kids
mess?
do way better with their mother or
Yeah.
something. Like, is that a thing? Is that like a documented, like,
No, that was a myth that they created.
that's
Yeah.
insane.
It's
That kids are more attached to their mothers.
Or that they just do well.
No,
better
they
than
just-
out of-
mothers, maybe.
they just
it-
feel like the kid should
It's
be with the
basically
mother.
it's a manipulation of the very early childhood dependence.
Dirty.
But then they eliminated that. I mean, they created your manufactured baby formula. So that took the onus for breastfeeding off of women.
They
I
have
mean,
Keurig
it's been a step-by-step
baby formula now.
separation
Sure do.
of adult human beings from reality for it's over 100 years. It's late 19th century going forward. You got the Darwinism and the materialist bullshit where, God doesn't exist. Everything just, evolved out of a gooey pond somewhere. That was step one. And then you just start tearing down the other pillars that all follow from that. Like, basically transacting with each other honestly and understanding the value of money. That was another part. Then they started calling into question whether or not humans have free will or not with the animal behaviorism garbage. And then on the tail end of that, introduce all the psychology. And then you morph that into sociology, where you can turn collected data into some psyche of the community. It's just on and on and on, and every step is the foundation for the next step, and it's just the same thing over and over again. Here's this thing, here's its opposite. They're actually the same. Smash them together, and whatever comes out becomes the next thing that you have to find the opposite of, so you can smash them together to make the next thing to find the opposite of, to smash them together.
We have to break the
and
wheel.
it never ends. And so now here we are on level 157 of this ridiculous frickin' narrative building that started that far back. And everybody wonders why everything's all screwed up. Well, it's because you refuse to believe in God. You think everything evolved from nothing. And you don't actually have any rational bases to begin any of your thinking about anything.
Let me
go. Yeah, let that go here.
God.
This is just a question, because I feel like this cannot be fixed.
What's
but
this?
What's going on with society? Like everything. Like the family structure is not like sacred no more. Like
that can't be fixed?
How many people?
I think it could be fixed.
Hold on.
No, I'm just saying, like, in the future. Like,
How many
why can't it
people
be
do you
fixed in the
think
future?
wait till marriage? to
you
have
don't think it
sex?
can be fixed?
I think it can be fixed. Everybody can fix it tomorrow, but the odds of it aren't very good. I think if everybody wanted to, if somebody actually wanted to, because that's a relationship in itself. Two people put a lot of effort into something, and it gets better, but it doesn't work with one.
But what I'm saying is, like, the way society's like showing things to people and how everything's going, I can't see it getting better unless, like, it's just inbred in them, like you said, how your wife was like raised that way. But anyone who's like dealing with normal social media or media in general, and they don't have that inbred in them, I just don't see it. I see AI girlfriends coming up big.
I'll say this: if you're not, if you're not into,
You think that really?
yeah, if you're
I
not
do,
into
yeah.
content creation
no
or
sense.
using social media as a business, there's no
Hold
reason.
on, I want to talk about that AI girlfriend thing real quick. I'm sorry.
We've gone deep in AI girlfriends.
I've got to
We
hear
kinda
about
missed
that for just.
one.
I got to hear about that for a second, though. Seriously, why would you want an AI girlfriend? How could that possibly? The first reason you even want a girlfriend, right? To even talk to a female is physical touch or female physical pleasure or touch.
About
You
to
don't just
go-
like,
get
hey,
going here.
there's a girl and she's not a boy. Maybe I should see what it's like talking to her. No, you don't care. You're like, oh, hey, what's that feeling? Oh, she's pretty. And you go find out,
If they cloned your favorite porn star into an AI sex bot, would you buy one? And it was cheap.
Oh, a
Not
robot?
yeah, AI sex.
AI is
We're
just
talking
like the
AI.
ins-
sex
Oh, you're
bots.
talking about like
Yeah,
not
we're
a
talking
computer
AI
on a
sex
screen.
bots,
You're talking
yeah.
about like a robot.
We're talking something you can bring home, degrade, program, because
I'm saying degrade. Why would you degrade?
I thought you were talking about those little
You can
friends
only-
that they have on the screen of their phone, where you talk
No,
to them
I
and
mean,
they talk
those-
back to you and stuff.
so those.
That's
been,
already bad enough.
Yeah, hold on.
That's
but
weird.
Yeah,
it is
that's
bad
awful.
I
enough.
don't get
those,
that.
Those have been around forever. The next level to this shit, dude, is
Is this-
taking taking the software
getting a flesh
and that
suit?
in the software and those chatbots and those chatbots, and then actually building a
suit
real,
for them?
basically human. You can have sex and then programming for them to interact with you like they're real.
Wasn't there a
person.
movie like that?
Yeah, her.
Called-
Where that,
I think
no, that
No,
one where the
hers
little
was
kid,
the one on the phone.
the
Hers
little
just
kid where
the
they bought the
chatbot?
little
Better
kid
than us.
because he.
Oh, you talking about that scary one?
No, the little kid died, so they bought.
Get in the
they
mic
made
there.
a robot that
Reggie.
looked just
Oh,
like their
that's
son.
another different
Oh, really?
one.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen that one.
And there was robots everywhere. It was just a regular movie where robots were a kind of thing. There was a guy named Gigolo Joe, and he was literally a sex robot. That's what he did. That was just part of the thing.
It's coming. You
I
know?
can't remember.
No,
I bet
it
you in
is
20
for
years,
sure
at least
coming.
for sure in
For
20
sure
years,
coming.
they're gonna be here. And
Yeah.
I think a
society's
lot of
going
people would
in
go
this
that
shitter.
route because there's a lot of
I,
guys that can't get women.
Yeah,
Yeah.
isn't that sad?
Yeah.
And then think how many think
Still,
think of the percentage of men now that die a virgin, and when these AI sex bots get introduced.
that's not right. I don't think any man
Hold
should
on.
die a virgin. Break out your wallet and pay for it.
Have
for
you
God's
spoken-
sakes.
Dude, hold on.
Have
so
you
you're saying
spoken
if
to
you
a-
have sex with that AI
Dude.
robot, you lose your virginity.
Man, the women that are coming on these podcasts, that's like their goal in life is to make sure that 90% of men die virgins. They can't.
What?
They fucking.
Hold on, Reggie,
oh
let
my
me
God!
ask
I
They
think women
absolutely.
are giving up more
Hold
than
on,
they ever
I
have
gotta-
these
No,
days.
no,
I
they
gotta go
hate
back.
men. They hate men. They love getting what they want.
Wait,
They love
Phil.
sex.
Give me a second here. I gotta ask you. So you think if a guy who's a virgin has sex with an AI robot, loses their virginity?
I mean,
No.
on some level, I guess
No,
if you've
I
never busted a
disagree.
nut.
No.
I disagree.
I
You
think
don't lose your virginity until you stick
Well,
you
virginity
know
is a
what,
word. What's the
until
word mean?
a real woman to
that
her.
you've
that you've had
sex?
intercourse with a real person, a real woman.
you're
Let
probably
me say that you've had intercourse with a real woman.
I don't even think it means that you've had an intercourse with a woman these days, right? It could be anyone. They just have it. I mean, losing your virginity is just having sex, right? It doesn't
Sure.
matter what it is with or who it is with. So
No.
if you are having sex with anything, wouldn't that be losing your virginity?
If your
No.
if your genitals interact with an inanimate object that's programmed, that's just fancy masturbation.
Yeah.
It's not sex.
I don't know, man. I think it's the way
Agreed.
you feel when you bust a
I
nut.
agree with you.
When you use your
It's
hand,
all-
it's one feeling. When you get a girl, it's a completely
It's
different
whatever
feeling.
you
is it
have
not?
sex with. Yes, you are losing your virginity, but they have to be a real person. That's using your virginity. Whether it's a man, whether it's a guy, whether it's a man that's a girl or a girl that's a guy, you lose your virginity. Okay, but the point is that they're a real human being.
I guess. I mean,
I-
you know, it's
That'd
not
be
what
like
you-
saying, like, dude, they have those fucking
To each
balloons.
their own.
No, they have those inflatable dolls. They've had those for years. So if like someone like fucked an inflatable doll, would you say they lost their virginity?
Sure. I mean, their virginity is what? Just basically going through your first sexual act, right?
With
No,
another person.
yeah, that's what I think.
With another person.
Man,
In general, losing your virginity always referred to the first time that you have intercourse.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But does it
With a
have to
person.
be with a live person?
No.
Or can
Yeah.
it be,
It
Now,
does.
in this
especially
world
with extreme tech?
today,
I know.
actually having a definition puts you at a deficit because then you can't just spew diarrhea of the mouth and convince morons to do stupid shit all day. I mean, real definitions actually provide limitations on things,
Exactly.
and it
Yep.
can't have that.
Exactly. Plus, I think if they could spit out a robot that could look just like you, and you cannot tell the difference between Doug and AI Doug,
That's what I'm saying.
and you have and somebody has sex with AI Doug for the first time, and they lose their virginity, I would give it to them. Like, fuck it.
yeah.
Right?
I-
Can
I
you tell the
see that.
difference? No, you can't even tell the difference. The only reason you know is because you know you're you. Like-
yeah.
like
Yeah,
at
when-
that
I
point,
still wouldn't
fuck
give
it.
it to them.
Well,
I said that.
Come on, it's gonna get to that
And it
point
will,
where it's gonna
yeah.
be damn close.
But you still,
I mean, you can be safe, but how would you know? Like, you didn't even know it was that person. You know, if
Yeah.
you're like, it's kind of
Yeah,
in a small way.
I
It's
guarantee.
like virtual.
It could get
flying,
to that point
you
where you
know,
just
like-
don't even
guarantee
know.
ya,
Yeah.
the alternative is much closer than the dream world. This idea that there are going to be these sex bots that reflect the being of an actual person. No, what's more likely to happen is China will end up unleashing a large number of these things onto the population, and essentially what they're going to be
That they're gonna
is
take over the world.
well, they're going to
Sex bots.
turn into genital blenders that start
Oh.
seeking additional victims,
Mm.
and it won't get reported because it's China.
Ugh.
And then the reports will come out, and people will say, "Well, that's all fake nonsense," because everybody likes to lie about China. And then your dick will get chewed off by one of these AI blender bots, and then people will say, "Well, geez, who could have seen this coming?"
Just think if
Except
they
that
made
guy
these
Phil on
bots.
that podcast 10 years ago.
This is a guy on Doug Life.
You know, you actually just made me think even more about this. Seeking out a certain
I
type
guarantee you.
of No, what if they like seek out certain types of genes?
What
trying
if
to
the
make
bots
perfect,
made you all Chinese?
like
So
perfect
everybody in the
human?
world that was born is now all coming out Chinese.
Well, you know,
Well,
there's someone
that would
out
be
there that's
crazy,
gonna say
right?
there's someone
No,
out
but
there.
I could see.
I was just gonna. There's
Yeah.
someone out there that's gonna say that they programmed these sex bots to target black people and chop off. Their
I knew it,
penises.
man.
You
They
know-
always hate on
Hey!
the black
You know-
man. I've been saying it. Where's the camera? I've been
Hey.
saying it.
Hey,
I've been saying it.
that could be a possibility too.
Hey.
You know, oh man,
Trying to bring the black
I
man
didn't
down.
think of all that
Dude,
stuff.
they said it with COVID.
Oh.
There was headlines saying COVID was invented to kill black people because the virus was more deadlier to you guys' fucking genes.
Hey,
Your
know-
guys'
white
genes.
Hold
I
on.
love where this
Oh, wow.
is going.
Hold on a second. Hold on a
Damn.
second. You don't even need to have gene targeting to make this argument. Where was all of the effective action taken in the metropolitan areas? Where are the highest ratios of black residents to other races.
In
the
nicest places of
metropolitan
every
areas.
state, 'cause
You
we're
only
rich.
all you have to do is use their own damn arguments against them. Well, if it has a percentage, imbalanced impact on a group, that means it's racist against that group. Well, there you are. Your COVID
Everything's
enforces
racist, even
were
diseases.
racist against the black community. I think it's pretty
been
I don't want
straightforward.
to get too far off
mean,
track on COVID, but I will say that
Racist.
No, there were headlines. There were headlines I like that. I remember saying COVID.
Hey, I believe it.
Saying COVID was like man created.
COVID didn't win though, because black don't crack.
It did. And I can see the same headlines with these blender bots. Excuse me. Someone say they're made to target black people's penises, so they stop producing.
That'd be the only way to shorten them.
Well, then you
Hey.
then you won't have to have that like.
All I know
worst,
is-
worst case scenario thing in your head you were talking about that one day.
The AI chip? Or?
No, about like some guy coming to your house, some black guy.
Oh, yeah.
What were you saying?
It's just something he said on one of the podcasts I thought was funny. He's like, "Oh, the person's worst nightmare,"
Okay, we were talking about the AI. Here's what we were talking. No, here's what we were talking about last podcast. So the AI sex bots things. A majority of men are going to use these things, right? But
Sure.
how would you feel if your wife was going to use one? This won't affect you because you're black. But I was like,
I like the way
Yeah.
you said that. He's
No,
right. He's right.
this won't affect everybody because
Let me
I
get
was
into the-
like, I was like, imagine a guy coming home, imagine a white guy coming home, and he walks in to his girl,
And he
his
sees
wife.
me on the bed.
Yes,
just, yeah.
but not you. He sees AI Reggie with his big old black dong just pounding his wife.
Oh, wow.
Like,
What? Good? $29.95. You next? $26.25. Whoa, that would be crazy.
No, that was funny.
yeah,
Oh,
no, yeah, that was funny shit. Those were good times. Okay, seriously, question: how would that make you feel though? If your wife were to get an AI sex
It
bot and
depends
use
how
one?
much she was giving it to me. Like if I hadn't had sex with my wife
Yeah,
for over a year,
That's fair.
I come
for sure.
home and multiple times she's banging something else. I think I would step. But that's just me.
I'm about to break this toy.
I like to have sex with my woman on a multiple occasions. Like that's the worst thing about marriage. Most guys aren't getting it from their wives anymore. Like you get married.
Can I
people
ask
get
you to
married for
be
crazy
vulnerable
reasons.
here? How's
Oh.
your sex life now with your
Oh,
wife?
great! Shoot,
Is
it really
it?
had
Okay.
a.
Get
It-
into the mic a little bit there too.
It had a problem after our last kid was born. Like we had twins and there was no problem. Really just going crazy up to the last child was born, and then literally the second the baby came into this world and breathed their first breath was the last time I had sex for like 3-4 months. Like, well, actually, it was longer
no,
than
no.
that because they have to wait.
They have
for
to
a
wait
certain amount
for
of time.
a month.
But I'm talking
right?
about like 3-4 months after like her time
Yeah.
was good. And I'm always like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And they never want to talk about it. And they never want to be like, hey, this is it. They always want to be like, I don't know. I don't know. And it's like, oh, you know. You might not want to tell me, but you know what's going on. And it's like, it's not that big a deal. I want to know,
Yeah.
I'm not just going to be like, oh, it's no big deal. And then not talk to you about it for a year. Let's go
Yeah.
revisit this in a year. See how you feel then. No, that's not how it's going to be. I didn't get married or even have a girlfriend because I wanted to just hold your hand in parks. like
Yeah.
I want sexual contact. To be honest, I wouldn't even have, if there was no sex and men didn't want sexual contact at all. I don't even think I'd have a girlfriend. I would barely talk to women.
Yeah.
Like, not that I have anything against them
can see
at
that.
all.
I could see
I'm
that,
not on
though.
your level. No.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not on that level. Like, there's a lot of girls that I find that are really cool ass chicks and shit.
Yep.
But it's like, oh, I hate to say this for guys, but there's always some kind of like, for me being married, there's not, and it makes it way easier for me. But like guys being friends with girls, there's always some backhanded. Oh, one day
Yeah.
she's gonna come home crying. I'm gonna smash her.
Yep, see
Oh,
that? That's
one
how I
day
feel, you
her
know?
boyfriend's gonna slip up, and I'm gonna smash that.
Yep.
And it's all backhanded. With guys, you're not, well, depending on who you are, obviously, but these days, but it's like with your boys, you're not worried about any of that. You're having a good time. You chilling, drinking, whatever you like to do for fun, and you're having a good time. There's no like anything else coming in between it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And who is it that wanted to eliminate the men's only spaces?
What do you mean?
Women?
There's men's only spaces.
No,
still.
there aren't. There basically aren't any. They're
There-
gone.
Almost any motorcycle shop, most bars.
Have you
no.
ever played Magic the Gathering?
No,
Yeah,
there-
if you ever play any, you play any card games at
Okay.
all.
Let me correct it. there are places
Yoga
that,
spots.
that
No,
do
I'm just kidding.
they do continue de facto male only spaces,
Cigar bars.
but you are not. You have no allowance whatsoever from the greater community
The
to
garage.
maintain them as a male only space. And as soon as that bubble is pierced, they almost inevitably end up dissolving away and they never come back.
Yeah. What Phil's saying, like these hobbies and interests that are predominantly men dominated.
Like
it's
what?
It's weird that for Magic the Gathering for one.
Magic the Gathering is one of the most ridiculous freaking examples because it isn't just with the feminism thing; it's with all of the weird.
You're talking about there's more girls
like,
winning now these
well,
days?
now we're gonna turn whiteness. You know,
No, I'm
never
talking-
mind. We're
I'll
gonna
let
go
Phil go.
70 years with saying that well, white people don't have culture. They're just white. And now whiteness is this overwhelming thing,
White people don't
and
have
weird.
culture?
It's so weird that it's composed of all of the elements of being a responsible adult, like telling time, showing up at an appointment, working the requisite number of hours. I mean, all of these simple, straightforward freaking things. Thinking linearly, to like knowing how to carry out the steps in the Lego book. No, that's white. See, over here we got the black method where you just throw all the Legos up in the air and then smear your ass on it and hopefully it comes out to be the fucking thing.
Ouch!
It's so bizarre.
That's
It's like
the black
no,
way? Smell your ass
dude,
on it?
all I'm doing.
Ouch.
It's a ridiculous example, but that's what
Yeah.
what comes out of this confrontation with like the ideas
That's
of
disrespectful.
maintaining order.
That's straight up
Oh,
disrespectful.
dude,
He's just
Wipe
it's a
your
metaphor
ass.
though. I get it. I get it.
you've not seen this,
No.
dude.
Not
hey,
to mention, I've seen about 20 white people rig something, but I have yet to see it rig anything.
but doesn't that sound weird to you?
Yeah, it does.
Like-
'cause
like
that's
show-
not the way I see it at
No,
all.
that showing up on time is white.
I've never heard
That's
of that.
isn't that
I've
bizarre?
never heard of that.
I'm
either.
on
Okay,
time all the
stop,
time.
stop.
But no,
Let's
but I
no,
just,
let's talk.
Hold on,
No,
I just
gotta
want to
say
say I
this
get
on
what
that.
Phil's saying though. I get what
It
Phil's
is
saying.
What are you gonna say,
bizarre.
Tim?
Showing up on time. You heard of CPT time. Now come on now.
Yeah, black people time.
That's basically
I've
what
heard
they're
that.
saying.
I've
been
No,
hearing
it's
that
black
my
people
whole
time.
life.
Let's be honest. What they mean black people time. You don't lie, man.
I don't have these problems.
I don't either, but you know what CPT stands for.
Dude, I know
Anybody
that there's
who
a
knows
people
what
of
CPT
every
stands for
kind out
knows
there.
what that
What
means.
does CPT stand for the people that
They
don't
say
know?
colored people time, but you know what they mean.
Not to mention,
You know what
every
they
day
mean.
at work, I'm the first man through the door, and all my white coworkers are
It must-
showing up late.
It must strike you as being really weird. Then.
But
I
you
think
know-
it's racist as
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah.
No, but I'm like that too. Like I show up to appointments on time or
I
earlier.
don't think it's weird. People show up when they show up.
But
They
I-
want to get the fuck out of the bed or
but
they
there's
don't.
a reason. But
Why is there got to be a color attached to it?
It doesn't matter why. People say that. You know they say it.
Oh.
Unless you haven't hung around black people lately.
Doug,
I've never met
Doug,
a black person
try
in my
to-
life.
try to
You
dude.
pull
never
up-
heard of CPT
Try to pull up a
time.
whiteness
have,
chart
Oh, okay.
so he can see it.
Pull up a what chart?
Dude, they're all over the place. They're basically in poster form. It'll say whiteness across the top, and then it's got this bullet point display of all of the things that you are supposed to oppose because they are elements of whiteness. It's
Oh,
the
like
most
mayonnaise.
it's the most
Really?
insane
Right.
shit
I think
anybody has ever
I
come
think
up
mayonnaise
with.
is on that list.
Really?
Yeah.
It-
I like mayonnaise.
I do too, but a lot of black
Ugh.
people are not supposed to like it. I
So
guess.
really?
so if you really like watermelon, it's just
What's that
saying.
supposed
What about
to mean?
swimming? Can I put that out there? Should we talk
What?
about swimming? Is that swimming racist?
I used to swim in
Yeah,
high
I know,
school,
I
but
think
I could see that.
Swimming's one of
being
those
like-
racist things for sure
I
that
can
people
see
say
that.
like black people can't swim.
But I,
for sure.
I
That's what
swam. I was on the swim team, so like, but there wasn't many of us. I'll just say that.
The
Yeah.
many of us.
Oh, like how-
there wasn't many of us.
How many black people play hockey? I think there's like legit.
not many.
I think there's
Did you
one.
see that the
I
one-
know
Well, there's
there's
some
one
really good
NHL
ones.
player. I think that's
Did
it.
he get hit in the face by that one guy too?
I don't follow hockey
Oh, I was
enough,
gonna
but I
say.
would have to look it up.
That
but
was literally the one thing I ever saw in hockey was like one of the few black guys ever like. Oh, I can't think of that other.
Oh, that's on the whiteness poster too.
dude hit him.
Letting a black dude play only so you can punch him in the mouth.
Whoa.
Exactly.
On the
That's
hot-
ra-
for
that is
hockey,
where did
racist,
you
though.
that is-
Where did you
I
see
can't lie.
this,
That's
you know?
freaking racist if I've ever heard it.
Oh yeah, it is. Damn.
Sometimes I am just blown away that people haven't heard or even come across a single display of it. This shit was everywhere for months.
Wow.
Oh,
when you bring your white
it's
friend.
it's in full effect.
I always
I
bring
mean,
a
this
white friend
hasn't
so they can
gone
talk to the
anywhere.
cops.
Yeah.
I could see that.
They do
I'll
that all the
I'll
time.
go on here. I'll look it up.
Yep.
It'll take me 15 seconds.
To what? To find the. To
But I
find the
guess
white
like
chart.
I don't really like look at shit like that. Just because I don't. I was like, I don't got time, man. People like me, for me, that's it. You know, I don't have time to like get in these little subcultures and niches about
Yeah.
that. So I guess I
I
don't
wish
really
I
look
had
at
the
that
time,
stuff.
man.
Well,
No
I think
fucking free time.
everyone here that's sitting at this table, like we all have the mindset where it's like, if I fuck with you, I fuck with you.
Yeah,
You know,
Pretty
so
much.
that's it. You know.
Pretty
you know,
much.
I judge a person by how they are. Like I don't care what they look like. You know, I just care about like their.
I just try not to
There's-
judge too fast too,
Yeah.
because when you can meet somebody and be like, "Whoa," and then be
I
like,
feel like I'm
"No,
a
they're cool.
yeah.
Never mind."
Especially like if they're a grower. Like I've actually had people tell me that I'm a grower. Like with especially like one like a lot of bars where it's like they tell me they think like I'm a douchebag at what first, or they just don't instantly click with me. But over time,
Yeah.
you know, they're like, Doug, you're a grower. You know,
don't
they're
think
like,
so.
like I didn't really like you at first, but you
I
really
think
grew
you're
on me.
fine the entire time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
but you
always
met
thought
me,
you were
dude.
cool.
I was a lot younger though when you met me
You
at the
young
same
son of a
time.
bitch.
Like
How
I was
old were
like,
you?
dude,
21.
yeah, I think so. 21.
gonna say.
Yeah, it was 10 years ago.
Can you
so,
zoom
like,
in on this?
What's that?
Can you zoom in on
Probably
what
not on the phone itself. Well,
Look at
what-
this.
Like a professional site.
Look at this.
here, I'll pull it up.
List. These people are reformulating.
One of those is a tooth chart, though.
this
So you-
shit-
it says whiteness for teeth.
Oh, yeah. No, you'll get
Phil,
some of
you
that
actually
in
got
there.
to read the article. You can't
Like
just
the-
before you
the
share it.
top-
Get in the
and
mic there.
It's absolute insanity.
I didn't know that white people didn't have culture, though. I
The
thought they were, like-
individual is the primary unit. Self-reliance. That's whiteness.
White people have culture. It's called Cracker
Independence and autonomy
Cracker
highly
Barrel.
valued and rewarded.
Ouch.
Individuals assumed to be in control of their environment.
Interesting.
The nuclear family. Father, mother, 2.3 children is the ideal social unit. That's whiteness. Husband is breadwinner and head of householdness.
but why is
Hey,
that
I
big-
like that.
Oh, well, here, this is the more crazy stuff. Objective, rational, linear thinking, cause and effect relationships, quantitative emphasis. That's all white.
Ooh.
Let's see
It's
history.
a lot of big words.
Based on, based on Northern European immigrants' experience in the United States. Well, because they're the ones that came over here and established the order. I don't understand.
Well, I don't
It's
understand
just so insane.
why that has
the
to be
Protestant
whiteness. Why
work
can't it be
ethic.
Americanism or something?
Hard
Right.
work is the
Humanism.
Right,
Yeah.
humanism.
You know?
it just to gather up all of these things that are contributing factors to well operated institutions and smoothly operating communities, it just and to slap a derogatory label on that amidst all of this hemming and hawing about who's the persecuted group and who deserves this and who
Black
deserves
people,
that.
always.
And
And the natives. Don't
The-
forget the natives.
Yeah.
the most
That's why
they got the casinos
destructive
now. They
part of
deserve
it
that shit.
is
The only place you can buy weed right now, currently, legally. Do you know that?
Wait, what? Where?
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt Phil. Then I'll let you. That's okay. We're getting off topic. So we live in Minnesota, and anyone who doesn't know, we just legalized weed right now, I believe, on August 1st. But
Yep.
they're not handing out retail licenses till 2025. So the only places you can purchase weed currently, like go to shop and buy it, is on like tribal land. They're the only
Oh.
ones that are allowed to sell it right
So they're
now.
selling it at the casinos then, right? At the
Mm-mm.
smoke shops or what?
I don't know. You could try going to Mystic, I guess, but I know they're not giving out retail license to 2025. And right now, only tribals
Interesting.
are allowed to sell it.
basically the state has turned itself into the den mother of weed smokers. You're not actually free to do anything.
But we're a little
You're-
over.
You're
Sorry, I'll let Phil go
allowed
here.
you're allowed to go through a bunch of rote, repetitious, absolute freaking nonsense in order to pursue something that you enjoy. That's not free, and slapping the word legal on it is worthless.
Right. We're a little over an hour or two here at 8 o'clock. How you guys feeling? I'll check in. Do you have to go at all, Reggie? Or
No,
Yeah,
not
I'm
yet.
down to go a little bit longer. This has been fun. If everyone else is.
I don't know, anybody want to take a smoke break?
We can do a quick bathroom break. Yeah, but
I
we
got
don't
you.
even have to do that long.
I mean, I
We
wanna
can
go,
even call it too if you guys
but,
want.
no, I'll stay. For
Okay.
A little
I mean,
longer.
I was
Okay, we'll do a little longer.
That was a pretty good round.
It was.
Yeah.
All right, we're back, everyone. We're gonna start the second half with a little game called Phobia or Repulsion. Pretty catchy. So I'm gonna say a word. You guys tell me: phobia or repulsion? Homophobic or homophobia?
Repulsion.
Can it be
Repulsion?
both?
Yes.
Can't be
No,
both?
you can only choose one.
Dang.
Well, I guess I don't understand it. Like, am I?
Yeah.
I'm not.
Just
I'm not
Not
into
what
that,
you
but
are.
I'm not like
Yeah,
repulsed.
yeah,
by
I'm
it.
not
It's
saying,
like
Yeah,
you
I'm
guys-
not repulsed by it, or
and I'm not
like,
afraid of
afraid
them
of
either.
it.
So
but what does society do it?
I
I
think,
think they're more
phobia.
accepting about it than they ever have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in the 1990s, like late 90s, I didn't even know gay people existed.
Fat
Yeah.
people, phobia, repulsion.
I think people were repulsed.
Yeah, it's a
They're
repulsion.
not afraid of them unless they
I'm-
get stepped on.
repulsed. you know?
Absolutely.
And the reason why you're repulsed, at least why I'm repulsed, is because you shouldn't like. That's like you're not taking care of your body. It's like your body should be your temple.
What if somebody trust
Yeah.
falls on you? That would be a phobia.
Someone's what?
Trust fall. You know that one big
Yeah.
black dude that falls on you because he weighs like 400 pounds?
Right.
Why would I trust fall someone like that? They would fall.
No, he
Yeah.
trust falls on you. He literally falls against you. It says trust fall, and he just falls on you.
And I'd be
Like,
like,
that's a
no,
phobia.
No heads up.
You got to be
Yeah,
scared. You got to
Yeah.
be scared of that.
Okay, yeah, I'd be scared.
So fat people can hurt you. Be scared.
They can. But Phil, what you got in there about phobia and repulsion?
Well, man, I watch so many of these videos with these ding dongs who, for whatever reason, the only way they've been able to find to elevate their feeling about themselves is to designate everybody else as evil via phobia.
What?
And I watched this woman calls herself the fat sex therapist. And she goes on this freaking rant and she says, if you're going to post in the comments, just let me know that you're fat phobic or homophobic or transphobic or whatever. And it's an
I see what's going on
inversion.
here.
It's all you have to do is label yourself, and I'll listen to you give your point of view, but you have to admit that you have an irrational fear or that you're evil.
Can
Right.
I ask a question?
And this is what's so ridiculous about it. And I was responding to the fat phobic individual item with this. She paints this picture as if mass, energy, time, and money are what's everybody's favorite phrase these days? Socially constructed in order to persecute people. And it's just not true. Those four factors combine to indicate to you what is preferable. Running an airline and selling half the seats because everybody weighs 500 pounds, that's bankruptcy. It's absolute. It's just insanity. And there's an absolute army of millions of these ding dongs online making these assertions, and it's just it's corrosive.
What
it's
I will
doing
say real
terrible
quick,
things.
and I know you had a question I wanted to go, that I feel like people who put themselves online like that, it's like, say if you're an overweight woman, just an overweight person, you go online and you're a content creator or whatever, and anytime a negative comment comes in, it's, well, you must have some weird fat phobia thing going on. They're labeling themselves, is what Phil is saying, and then that way they can deflect any negative comment that comes at them and turn you into the demon. Turn you into the bad person. They can't take any sort of, even if you're giving constructive criticism, well, you're just saying that because I'm fat.
Well, just get the
Is that-
Just
Hey,
try
at least
to-
he admits it.
just try to comprehend this. If you point somebody, you point out a fat person online, calling them fat as fat phobia. Well, the fat sex therapist calls herself fat. It's
That was my question. if she
it's
was
just
fat.
like this complete circle of
This thing is
idiocy
you weighed 100 pounds,
generating
I'm
this
fat.
stuff at light
Have
speed.
you guys ever fucked a fat chick? I have. I'll be honest. I think I got a couple. Actually,
I've done it.
Reggie's shaking his head. Come on, one, Bo. No?
I can't say I've ever had sex with a one. I'm like,
I think
she's
there was
fat.
one at
Like,
Ruby Tuesdays. I remember that was a little.
Yeah, the
you thought
majority.
she was fat? Cammy?
She was bigger. She was bigger. I wasn't gonna say that.
Oh, I was about
I-
to say, I
I-
don't think Cammy
She
was
was
fat
like-
at all.
but-
She was
but she-
definitely a bigger girl, but like,
She was
I'm
bigger.
talking about like,
She was
damn,
bigger.
she's fat. Like,
Well, like how fat's fat? Because I did one time and I was like, I think when like if you're in the car and you're having troubles,
yeah,
then
you
I was
can
like,
barely
okay.
bring yourself to touch her
If you
Yeah.
can't,
because she's so big.
if you can't have
Yeah.
sex in the car, she's too big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she was too big.
Or you just got too small of a car.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was
Some
about
of
to
my
those
say-
car
two
was small
seaters.
too. But
Yeah.
still.
Shoot, I'd bang Cammy today. I don't think she was that bad at all.
Dave, you better hope your wife doesn't listen to this,
Oh,
dude.
Dude, I
no,
have that kind of
this-
relationship with my wife.
This,
so.
bring-
Okay, yeah,
this
but-
brings up another one. Oh my God, I couldn't even believe it when this one came out of her mouth. So another real popular misconceptualization of everything, the fact that you're assigned your sex at birth. Like the doctor just says, well, I don't know, I just feel like making this child suffer, so I'm going to sign it female. It's so stupid. No, it's observed what you are, and then that's what goes on your birth certificate.
Yeah.
Now they're migrating that absolute nonsense onto BMI index.
Wow.
Body mass index.
Yeah, you're assigned BMI, as if the fact that the ratio comes out to 100 as opposed to 18 to 25. No, that's just an assignment. Somebody just made that assignment to hurt your feelings. It's like, no, it's a calculation based on your mass and your dimensions. It's like, what circus clown universe are we existing in? It just drives me nuts.
So when you watch this, I'm just wondering what your opinion is. Demographic is she targeting? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like this is
obviously Americans. I feel like there's
well, I mean,
which does matter because like we're so obese, dude, that I can't see a fat sex therapist reaching a large audience in different countries because there's not that many.
Do you know what the percentages are now in the United States? 80. It's over 80% now are overweight or worse. It is unbelievable.
Gyms are so damn expensive.
Hold on, but I would
Lifetime, lower your prices.
See, but I would like to know what qualifies someone as over, because I feel like there's probably in those statistics, so it's like, well, this is the weight you should be, and you could be in like good shape, only not that big, but like,
okay,
you're statistically you're overweight.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, there's a group, a group that is notorious online for being a group that generally violates the meaning of the body mass index, and it's rugby players, because their muscle mass and their overall mass for their height just completely throws the calculation out of whack.
Talking about Samoans.
But they're exceptions, and I'm sure sumo wrestlers are the same, because if you've ever seen somebody break down the physiology of a sumo wrestler versus a fat person, it is so remarkable. You get to see how the internal structure of these two different groups of people completely differ. These sumo wrestlers, their underlying body structure looks like a bodybuilder, and they're like a whale. They've got a layer of blubber on the outside that is an increase to their mass.
And the food that they're eating, though.
It gives them resistance to leverage and gives them additional leverage they can use. Whereas if you see an average fat person, they're being blown up from the inside from all of the stuff that's gathering on their organs and underneath their diaphragm. It's nothing like what the sumo wrestler looks like.
No, this is interesting because I didn't know that, because I just thought the body mass index actually can tell like your muscles, but now you're kind of telling me like
there are exceptions,
because they'll say like for me it's like it says like I'm way overweight, and I'm like there's no way I'm that much overweight.
Dude. Look at this.
Why? What's your BMI number?
Damn,
it's not good. Like
it's over 25.
Yeah, and I'm
how far?
Well, last time I think it was like 27.
That's not bad.
But I was like, there's no way I'm like that out of shape.
Especially if you've got additional musculature. People who actually build their muscle, they're going to violate the BMI. But in general, the percentages of the population who are exceptions like that, they don't make any meaningful contribution to the general statistical results. So while they can be presented, they're not meaningful in the wider conversation. The people who are overweight know they are. The data collected proves it out, and they're in this desperate scramble to justify the fact that they irresponsibly put themselves on in the statistical measure that's not desirable, and they refuse to admit it. They want to they're blame placers. They want to blame other people for their poor decisions, and it's disgusting.
I feel like that's the golden rule nowadays. Blame other people for your poor decisions. It used to be treat others the way you want to be treated. But now the golden rule is blame others for your poor decisions.
Oh,
It's all your
and
fault.
retaliate in kind. Right? That golden rule it's been completely eviscerated. It's hard to find anybody that will actually, without prompting, utter those words.
I treat people how I want to be treated all the time. It's natural.
Yeah.
I feel I do too, but a lot of people don't. You'll treat someone good and shit on you.
If it doesn't reduce to the golden rule, it's probably not natural.
But I will say this. Everyone at this table, I do feel like you got to treat people how you want to be treated.
Well, that's because we are older now, and we don't, like, with me, I don't even allow people that don't feel that way into my life anymore. Yeah. When I was younger, I did, but I was naive and I just didn't know. Now that I've matured and I have some experience, I meet someone and I feel like they don't follow the golden rule like everyone here at this table does, I wouldn't even let them into my life, on a personal level at least. Sure, if we work together, I can work with you so we can achieve the common goal, at the workplace, but I would never go have a beer with you and try to have any sort of personal relationship.
Yeah, and I think the people who do that do what people at this table do. Your life is gonna be better because you're around the similar type people. It's like when you bring in trash, you get trash.
Yeah, I feel like I'm lucky because I've had that because I have a lot of people in my life that I've met over the years that are still in them. Like even Reggie, I didn't talk to this guy for I don't even know how many years, just because we didn't work together anymore. And then he randomly sees my YouTube channel one time when me post about something about it. He tells me about his, and then it's almost like we didn't even stop seeing each other the next day, And for me, I feel like that's very common because those are the type of people I allow into my life.
Amen.
Amen, brother. All right, boys. Well, hey, that was pretty good. Let's wrap this up real quick. I just want to pick on Phil for a little bit. And
Sure.
I want to see any advice. And Phil, is there anything that you can take away after this podcast that you think that would help you get back out in the dating world and give love another shot? Because you've been single for a long time. That's what I said. I wanted to pick on you for a little bit. But I know there's a part of you, at least from our past conversations, that wishes you weren't alone.
Oh, I don't even qualify as single because my day-to-day doesn't count in that category. I'm alone, and I just deal with the circumstance.
Let me pick at
What
your.
does he mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Generally, when you're in this internet sphere of absolute blithering idiots and complete nonsense, single means that you're moving from one encounter to another, and it always has to be sexually based.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Why
if
would
you're
you move to another one?
Wait, what?
Why would you move to another girl if it wasn't
Get in the
sexually
mic there.
based?
That's what single people do.
Yeah.
They don't commit, and then they pretend that the person that they're
I see
dealing
what
with at
he's
the moment
saying.
means something when they're completely lying right to their face.
Maybe
And then they go and do the same thing to another person. That's how you end up with these with these bimbo-a-thons on some of these podcasts where it's like, well, you need to have 3 or 4 so that if you don't want to go talk to that one, there's another one, and then if he's busy, then there's another one, and you have to have a stable.
You have to have a fallback
full of
chick.
godless materialist idiots
That's too
that you
much
can
effort to have a
manipulate
stable.
to
Maybe when I was younger.
deliver your pleasure, and it's gross.
So to
And,
sum all that up, Phil's alone as in he's not even talking to a woman or having sex with any of them. He's not single. He is alone.
and
I like the distinction you made between
I've been on 2 dates since the final disastrous chapter of my history.
What
ended.
year? What year did that happen in?
Oh, that was 2010, 2011.
So 13 years.
Yeah.
Jeez, to each his own, but all I can think of is that dude. I worked at FedEx, and this guy was just a spokesman for, man, I'm 56 years old. I get girlfriends whenever I choose, and I don't have kids, and I never get married, and all this and that. And then the dude went outside and died in his car, and nobody knew for 2 days because
he doesn't have anyone.
He has no one.
Yeah.
His parents are dead. He has no siblings, and he has no one. That's crazy.
Yeah. I think most.
How would you feel if no one even noticed that you died?
I know. And you bring up a really good point of why I think more people
are getting
they
married.
get well, they get married just to get married when they reach an older age because they're
Sure.
afraid of dying alone and being alone like that.
Yep.
They're afraid of, oh, I'm going to die in my car and it's going to take 2 fucking weeks to find me because I don't have anyone
Right.
in there. And that pressure intensifies as you get older in age and you're not with someone.
For sure.
I made one promise to myself. Well, 2. One, not interested in the overweight and above spectrum. I don't want anything to do with that. Not
That's
on
fair.
a romantic level. It's not going to happen. 2, I'm not going to lie to anybody. So out of some sense of desperation or need to do something, I'm not going to break down what I'm looking for in order to, in some way, satiate this other requirement that I'm trying to fill.
He ain't gonna lie to kick it.
Fuck
Exactly.
no,
You
not
shouldn't.
doing that, because
Basically
that's
saying
just
he's not going to settle.
it's the
He knows
absolute
what he wants.
it's the absolute worst foundation to try and build anything on. And from my
know.
experience, there are, if you want to put a label on it, the alpha approach.
Yeah.
I was never going to be in that category. It's
Yep.
just not in the cards. Your genes deliver you certain, capacities and attributes. I think intellectually I'm an alpha.
I agree with
No,
that.
no
Yeah.
doubt. But obviously physically I'm not a very impressing presence. But I was always I took what I was raised with very seriously. And the no sex before marriage thing, it definitely impressed on my mind
Mhm.
as something that's part of a covenant. It's part of a practice that you engage in order. It's symbolizing the strength of your faith. You get an instruction and you faithfully follow it despite what your personal desires are. That's the approach that I took with the young women in my early adult life, and I essentially had it weaponized against me. You try to be forward at the beginning, and you get responses like, "Well, what are you crazy? Are you stupid?" Right? So then you approach things knowing your role, and then you get to a point where it's like, "Well, I've spent a bunch of time with this person, and I've developed an attraction for them," and then you let them know, and now you're ruining the friendship. So how do you get out of that box?
You come at him hard
Yeah.
from the get go, like Tad. Let me see them nipple ring.
Well, that's a little
I-
too
No
much.
it's stuff
delusions.
like
It's been
You
an
can't leave any
absolute
delusions in
mystery
your
to me.
relationship.
Yeah.
And my peer circles through the first half of my adult life, coming up into my early 30s, like I said, back 2010, 2011, it was something that I talked about with these people on a regular basis, because somewhere in my mid-20s, I made the yes decision. If you get invited out to do something social, you say yes. You make the arrangements so that you are able to do that, so that you present yourself with as many opportunities as possible, right? Not a single one of the people in any of my circles ever found their girlfriends or their wives on cold approaches. They were people they worked with. They were people they were introduced to
Bet you could.
by their friends and family,
I could.
right?
I don't think you're hanging out with the right guys.
And where were those opportunities
You gotta
for
create
me?
'em.
This didn't exist.
You got to create them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
I,
opportunities
I
with
like-
women have to be created by the men.
I
There ain't
agree
no
with
women
that.
out here going, "Let me go fight." Oh, here, come here. Like that shit
Well,
ain't gonna happen, dude.
I see where Phil's coming from in some ways. Sometimes people don't work with many females or something, and that's when you gotta you have to, like Reggie's saying, you gotta make it happen. Like
That's life in
You
general.
got to create opportunity.
Anything that you want,
Yeah.
no matter if it's a
Yep.
woman, money, a new house, like whatever you want, you got to create that opportunity. You can't sit back and be like, "Man, I just don't ever get what I want." It's
Wait
like,
for it to get put in
that's
front
gonna
of you.
guarantee that you don't get what you want. But if you are truly going out there and giving it your all and you're still failing, at least you like, "Hey, dude, I did what I could do. I still couldn't do it. It's not
Man,
like I didn't try."
I'll just be blunt with anybody watching this podcast. It's a numbers game, and that's
It
how you
really
gotta think
is.
about it. Like I man, I've hit on tons of girls that didn't like me. And it's like,
And it
whatever.
doesn't matter what you
Next,
look like.
know?
You're going to get told no.
Yeah, you know, it's like
We're not hot women that always get told yes. Like, no matter how good looking of a guy you are, you're going to hear no.
I've always just started.
Women are picky, dude.
It's
I've learned that.
Yeah.
There's certain women that like there's certain preferences that they have that was just no. Like doesn't matter. Like,
I mean, it took me a while, but after a while, I was like, man, first of all, this is what I did. What I do. I have this stupid ego in my head, like, man, you stupid if you don't get with me. Like, if you plant that in your head when you go out, then it's like she said no, whatever. I'll go on the next one. You know,
I'll go pinch this other girl's ass.
Well, I don't do that, but I just started having that mentality. It's like,
plus
whatever,
you got to read the signs too. A lot of guys are getting hit on; they have no clue.
That was me for a
no
very
freaking
long
clue.
time,
This girl could be
for
literally throwing out every sign, talking about, "I want you to ask me out,"
Yep.
and you just don't know because
That
you're
was
just
me.
being that nice guy.
Yeah.
And it really sucks because there's nothing worse than having a woman say, man, 2 years ago, I really had this big crush on you.
Yep.
You know?
And she's just fine as fuck.
Yeah,
now.
and you
Like,
always
super
wanted to even,
successful.
not
Yeah.
even hit it, but just like see what it could have gone, but you never even took that chance.
Yeah.
Like
we talked about
fuck
this
that.
when the girls were on here. Most guys friend zone themselves.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I friend zone myself
Because it's a
plenty of
sneaky way to
times when I
sneak
was
through the
younger.
back door, they think.
No,
Yep.
but I think they're
No, I think they're just too shy.
Actually, this is what I really think, and I'm not trying to diss how people are, but guys are like, man, I'm gonna respect this woman. And I'm not saying to be disrespectful to women, just so y'all
Sounds
know.
like that's what he's saying.
No, but I'm just saying, like, some guys are like, hey, I gotta do this and do that, but that's what everyone does, and that's what makes women put you in the friend zone. I'm not saying be disrespectful, but just be you and say what I noticed when I got good at. Now I don't do it as much because I'm too busy, but I was pretty successful with women. It's like I just started saying whatever I felt. Like I didn't give a damn.
That is true.
And all of a sudden that like turns them on.
No, that is very
They're
true,
like-
man.
Because they're like, did you talk? Don't talk to me like that. Hey.
But I'm kind of wet.
Or say
Yeah,
the
you
thing
know,
that
like-
you're almost afraid to say too, because a lot of times you'll notice that you'll want to do something, but you'll be like, "Oh, what is she gonna say?" Like, don't care anymore. Just do it and see where it gets you, because you cannot lose in that situation.
Yeah, it's like to me, it's like one
you can only get better.
Yep.
The one good thing about bartending is you like learn how to talk to people. Like,
Yeah.
and
And you get
can
comfortable
get
talking to
people.
really hot chicks.
But what I will tell you about sales is you learn to take rejection. Like I get no's all the time.
Good.
So if you're
I like that.
I'm just gonna tell anyone
Yeah.
who's like, you want to meet women, go on to sales, man. After you hear no's when you're not making money, because your money depends on it, straight commission, man, a girl saying no to you is gonna be like nothing. It's like,
Just don't be
whatever,
faint-hearted,
next,
man.
You know, like
You got to go out there and want it. You
Yeah.
can't go out there half-ass going, "Oh, she said no to me. I'm not going to talk to girls
Right.
anymore."
but that's what a
But
lot
at
of
the
guys
sa-
do.
yeah.
Like
That's
they
so
get
dumb.
they get their eye focused on
You
one
think your first girl's
female
going to say yes?
at let's say they go to the bar, they're like, oh, I like her, and they're just focused on her. Now the girl can pick up on that. They can pick up that, oh man, he just wants me,
You
know,
keep
like
staring at me.
Yeah. But if you like hit on a girl and she's like dogs you, and then you go hit on other girls, sometimes those girls want to get to know you because
Yeah,
they're
or
like,
if you
why
like
is
the
he
girl-
not why is he not pursuing me?
Go talk to her friend if that's the
You
girl you,
know,
really
like,
want.
Yep.
Go talk to
It's-
her best friend.
And
if her best friend shows you attention, that's not a good best friend. I'll say that though.
well,
but
no.
but I'm just saying, like, if you go hit on a girl, okay, she says no, and you're like, psh, whatever. You go start talking to another girl, and maybe that girl gives you attention, maybe she doesn't. But then she sees you, like, as long as you don't look like no player, like way bad player, if you do it like, you're just having fun with people, they're gonna be like, why? What the heck? I thought he liked me. Like that makes them desire you more.
Sure.
I think it'd probably happen with guys too. Like if a girl hit on one of you guys and you're like, whatever, and then and she's like talking to some other guys and like they're like getting into it, you might be like, man, hold on,
Yeah.
like
I
she-
coulda had
she
that.
liked me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I could begin my wiener wet
yeah, that's
tonight.
I think it's a mental thing,
Yeah, that would never happen for me.
No, you
Why
can't
not?
say
I-
that. You can't
Because
say that.
if
Phil, I
okay,
bet a woman has
so-
hit on you and you was so
Didn't even
oblivious
know.
to it you didn't even know it. It's happened before.
That's
at
fine.
least once.
if a woman approaches me and I'm not interested, and I see her later on talking to somebody else, I just feel happy. I'm just happy for her.
Well, you might be that way, but that doesn't mean women don't feel that way.
Because
Women
all
are
of this,
emotional.
all of this, this pinball machine bullshit, that's a repulsion for me.
And I can see that happening, but I'm talking mentally, like what people think, and emotions. Like a lot of people, I probably wouldn't care either, because I'm not interested. It's like, whatever, you can go. I hope you do talk to them so you don't bother me. But some women aren't like that. They might be like, oh, I'm not interested. And they might have a little interest in you, but they're just like, whatever, I can get better. Or they might think like that. I don't know. I'm just telling you from experience what I've seen, not only with me, but with friends of mine that are pretty good at getting girls. They were like, whatever, it's a numbers game. And
Just don't shut yourself down too, because it doesn't work out. Like I hate when people do that.
If they like us and see you being all sad and stuff, then they look at you like you're pitiful.
Yeah, that's a turn off too. When you're like literally just you're defeated before you even start. Like what the fuck?
Yeah. But if they see like you blow them off, like people don't like. I know a lot of people don't like being blown off.
Women are attracted to confidence too.
Yep.
Even if you like fail with confidence. Be like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And go to the
Deuces,
next, man. She might be coming back to you at the end of the night talking about, I was just joking. Like you said,
Yeah, like you just have to, it's not easy, but you have to develop that mentality, especially when you go out.
Yeah.
It just helps. Not only will that attract women, it'll attract other guys. They'll be like, man, like
this guy fucks.
And you're not thinking like trying the guys like bring them home or nothing, but it's like people will respond to that and want to be around you, and then that's great status. When that status comes, then the girls start liking you even more. I'm telling you, that's how it works.
I hear that.
I'm not lying. This is
how you become a high value king.
For sure, for sure.
I mean, do you agree, Reggie? Like what I'm saying?
I definitely think that. I definitely
I'm
think
happy to just be completely stuck in the same conundrum from 13 years ago.
Let me ask you something. You are not happy. That's why I'm trying to tell you. You should try this.
Man, I've actually tried to get people to actually take a stand on what the fuck happy means. Can't do it. Nobody can do it.
But dude, that's the problem. Like when you first meet a woman, don't ask her what does happy mean. Just have fun.
See,
but
there's
like,
another problem that I have.
Listen.
People putting words in my mouth and saying that's what I do. You know what that's called? That's called a straw man. You're blaming me for shit that I don't do. It's just like,
I don't
how
know.
the fuck do I get myself out of that fucking crazy cage?
Well, first off, I don't know what you do. I'm just telling you what I have done. Been pretty good. I can't say it's 100%. That's what I do. And my main thing is like if I go out with people, I just try to have a good time. And if a girl dogs me, it's just a numbers game. That's just how I look at it. But I think it's just from like I've had experience in sales. I think like you being a bartender, that helps so much.
It does.
Because you learn how to talk to all different types of people.
It was one of my main motivations for getting into hospitality.
So
I've talked to thousands and thousands of people, and I don't
liked
know.
every one of them.
I don't know. I guess I must just be a retard. I guess there's just no other way to explain
I
it.
don't know. Like, I did work with you, and I know how you are, but I don't know if like did you go out? Like, I don't really known you go out or go after bars. You ever do any of that stuff?
The group going from where we work to some other joint.
All right, let me ask you: Did you ever go to my after bars? You never did.
You weren't really there that long while I was there.
You never been to one of my after bars either.
No, well, I don't know.
It got weird.
I don't. By after bars, do you mean your apartment?
Yeah.
Okay, I've been to a couple of them. Yes.
And it got weird.
Things got weird. Wow.
Which is a good thing.
Yes. Things got weird in a good way. Yeah. Dad, he had an apartment that was like fucking a block or two away for a while.
Yeah, Christina and Derek did too.
Well, all I know is all of a sudden, like, girls are naked and massaging each other.
Party!
Well, were you at any of those ones?
I wish I missed those ones.
Oh, you did? I was like, what the hell?
Been
I was
there.
like,
Only
okay.
absent to that one.
Either that or I left too early. What time do you have to be there at
Uh,
6 in the morning for this shit to take place?
Sometimes, let
You
me
don't
tell
miss
you,
the
Sometimes
naked
in our
ones. Come on.
industry, it takes time. But like we worked hard. All of a sudden, people are drinking and getting a little loose. Want to relax. Shit happens.
So orgies used to happen at. This is what I'm picking up.
You know what? I think there's just a general greater lesson in this particular conversation, and everybody's always appealing to science and gathering data and looking at statistics, and it's inarguable that in every area of life there are people who don't get what they want. And I think that the true folly of most of the conversation in this realm is that there are things there's a way for you to get what you want. And that is not always true. It should, as a general practice, it should be ended.
Oh my God, we can go on a whole nother.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Because
It
let me tell
depends
you
what
how I
it is.
think.
It really
Let me-
depends
how
what
about-
that is.
No, I gotta say something.
I know. I was gonna say,
But
like,
it's
we're 30
true
minutes here.
in every area of life.
5 more minutes. We'll just go 5 more minutes.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of things I don't want. But you know what? I don't think I can't do. I think, how can I do? Like, that's my mentality. Like, with everything. Man, I have some big aspirations. And it's like, okay, how can I do it? This ain't working. I gotta try this route. This ain't working. I gotta try this route. This ain't working. I gotta find a mentor. I gotta find this. I gotta find that. It just irritates me when people fucking say, oh man, I can't get this shit done. I can't do this. Then find a way to do it. Like, because that's how I think. I had a friend call me the other day and he's like, oh man, everything's going up with inflation, blah, blah, blah. And he makes like 80 grand a year. And he's like complaining. I was like, then make more money. He's like, what? I was like, make more money.
What's he do?
He's like some CAD dude. But you know what? He said
He actually does something useful.
yeah, but you know what he said to me after that? He's like, you're right, Tad. I just got to make more money. You know, like he actually called me back and he's like, you're right. You know, like that's how I fucking think. Like if people don't like it, that's fine. But I just can't stand when people have say, oh, I can't do this because of this. I can't do this because that. I mean, sometimes there is real legitimate
Do you
reasons.
know what
I
I'm
will
gonna
say.
Fly, I don't have
will
wings.
say. I know, that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes there's real legitimate reasons, but we live in America. You know, like
America.
Doug, you know what I'm going to say.
America.
You got to know what I'm going
You
to
can say whatever you say.
He's gonna say America.
But I'm just
Fuck
saying we
yeah.
live in the greatest country in the world. Like you can almost achieve anything here.
You know what? I actually wrote an
know?
entry.
I'm about to get.
I know.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty funny. The two greatest lies running right now. Anybody want to take a guess at what they are?
The lies.
You look great, honey.
First of all,
That's a popular one.
You
but
look
it's not,
great,
they're not the
honey.
greatest. These are the two greatest magnitude, regardless of popularity. The two greatest magnitude lies.
I want to hear.
Well, number one, which is always relevant, but in particular to this is not the most important. Jesus Christ is not God's son. That's the number one greatest lie that's in the running circles right now. But number two, the one that's instrumental, is that the dollar is money. So when you say you got to make more money, my response is there isn't any money.
That's Phil's closing statement.
You're on a
before we
frickin'
go down the
hamster
fake money
wheel.
train.
You're on a hamster wheel chasing fiat paper that doesn't actually function like money and actually helps construct the cage that you're in.
Mic drop.
I could take
Big
purple
veggie.
and fiat paper. It
Strike
doesn't matter.
your
Whatever
tan.
makes trades happen.
Thanks
you
for
know?
coming here, man.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
no
got
problem.
anything else to say
Yeah, you were-
before? Yeah.
You're a good
Yeah.
co-pilot over here.
Reggie, like I've been in Pennsylvania with this ability to just walk in and just start
Squad
doing things
mate.
right away. Like he's been like he's a fucking vet.
It's nothing to it. Just
But
give
to
an
do it-
answer, man.
What do you got to say real quick, Reggie, to any married, single, or men in relationships out there right now listening before we sign off?
I mean, basically, the best advice I could give is if you're gonna get married, know who you're marrying, because they could screw your whole life on a Tuesday just because they feel like it. My wife right now could divorce me. Her dad's a lawyer, take almost everything I got,
Yep.
and I could do nothing but be like, "Damn, I wish I could afford somebody as good as your dad." So I mean, and that's why I kind of say there's nothing really in it for men to get married anymore, because you basically throw your balls in the hands of your spouse because of equal rights that are not
Yeah.
equal.
Because
So,
the institution, it's not
Yeah.
actually marriage anymore.
yeah, it's kind of jail. Like
It's
incarceration these days.
yeah, it's basically it's a legalistic superposition of individuals that doesn't really mean anything. It's arbitrary.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that. It's not tied to any faith in a higher authority. It's so funny because the people that want to discount the higher authority all of their appeals are always made in that very form. They always say, well, this is the way it should be. So they create a false higher authority and then trace everything back to that. It's so oh my
Double
god.
D.
Every
They can
time.
go.
Nothing.
No, I think I said what I
As
need
you
to
said,
say.
you
What
said.
needs to
I
be
said it.
said.
Appreciate
Free
you
them
guys.
nips.
And I-
Free them nips.
That's right. So you want attention on your tits. And I choose Dog Life. Dog Life chose me.